Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fun episode talking about the beautiful and elusive snow leopard with Shauvann Kidd and Jack Wonderly. This was recorded a couple months ago as a live Facebook show, and we had a lot of fun. So you may hear some pieces of that show that relates to our audience on the day of recording. So just to let you know, this is not live, as you know, as it is a podcast. And I just wanted to let you all know that the book we talk about in the show, Searching for the Snow Leopard, is available for order at www.snowleopardconservancy.org. As always, if you like what you hear, more stories and shows can be found at www.beprovided.com or in iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever you may hear your podcasts under Be Provided Conservation Radio. Enjoy today's show.
Welcome to Be Provided Conservation Radio, sharing stories and information about the environment, wildlife, and the people who are dedicating their lives to protect the world for future generations. These inspirational stories will take you from the Santa Cruz Mountains to remote areas of Africa.
I am Marcia Civic with Be Provided Conservation Radio, and I have two special guests with me today, Shauvann Kidd and Jack Wonderly. And we're going to be talking about their book that is coming out in October called Searching for the Snow Leopard, Guardian of the High Mountain. And so we're going to be talking about snow leopards and snow leopard conservation. So welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning of this. I apologize.
We're all still learning about all this technology since we've been shut in and
Exactly. So, well, I'm excited because I love the snow leopard. I don't know if people can see, there's a snow leopard picture behind me as well that I bought at WCN for donation, they're just beautiful, beautiful cats. So I'm excited. So anyways, before we get started talking more about the snow leopard, I was hoping to hear from both of you a little bit what got you inspired to do the work that you're doing and get involved with this, and make it your life's passion and work. So I thought, Jack, I would start with you, if that's okay.
Okay.
And I just wanted to, what inspired you to be a photographer and what got you involved, with the Snow Leopard Conservancy?
This is sort of a second career for me. I used to work in advertising and digital software visualization tools. And, basically I worked with creative people. I went to art school. So we were always making two-dimensional images of one kind or another. But I had a career in that world first. And then, I don't know, when I got to be probably my early 30s or something, I was losing interest in that and was never completely passionate about it. And photography, which I'd studied a little bit in college but never took seriously, started to become a regular hobby. I lived in San Francisco at the time, and I used to go over to the San Francisco Zoo. I was sort of working for a company on the East Coast, so we would wrap up work at 2 or 3 most days, which still gave me time to get to the zoo before they closed at 5. And I would
go to
the big cat enclosures and take pictures of the snow leopard and the tigers, and all kinds of stuff. But that was where I really started to work on my photography. And then I started going to other zoos and I would take pictures. I've always been an animal lover, but that's when it really started to come in with the photography.
Yeah.
And so then I'd go to Sacramento. They had snow leopards and tigers and other cats. And, then I went to San Diego, and then I went to Seattle, and I went to basically all the zoos on the West Coast.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't have a way to go to India and take pictures in the wild. So, and then I started to accumulate. The snow leopard and the tiger were always my favorite. And I started to accumulate, I don't want to say a portfolio, but, I had some good photos.
Yeah.
I spent 3 days at the Seattle Zoo trying to get good photos of their snow leopard, just standing there waiting for them to not sleep,
Big cats like to sleep a lot. That's hard.
They like to sleep a lot. And actually, I learned a few things at the zoo about snow leopards. Like if you spend enough time at a snow leopard enclosure, you find out that they usually, if they're being sly at all, they don't move until you look away. So if I could stand there and look at that thing all day and it just stares and, pretend, the minute I look down or do something, it moves.
Yeah.
They don't like to be seen moving. So there were some things that I learned doing that, but I just approached the snow leopard conservation organizations, the Snow Leopard Conservancy, and I was like, I have these photos. Can I donate some? Do you need them? Can I make prints and you can sell them at your fundraisers? And that was quite a while ago. That was maybe 2007 or 8.
Yeah.
And so that's when I first met Darla Hillard and Rodney Jackson and stuff from the Snow Leopard Conservancy, and I might go to a fundraiser and stuff. So this goes back quite a ways for me to when I was actually just turning professional as a photographer. So I eventually left the corporate world and decided I was going to be a photographer. And I really wanted to do wildlife and travel and stuff. I didn't know from a business standpoint, I had no idea what that looked like, nor did I know that it takes, probably a good 5 years to establish yourself as a photographer. So the beginning was a lot of fits and starts and trying to figure it out. But that's how the relationship with the Snow Leopard Conservancy first started and where the photography interest came out.
That's interesting. And you like film photography, right? You like, I believe it's I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, a Rolleiflex, or how do you say that?
Rolleiflex.
Rolleiflex, yeah.
The Rolleiflex is a camera that was popular in the 50s and 60s, and it's a box. Well, I can show you. It's right here.
I think I know what you're talking. Yeah. My dad had one of those too. Yeah.
This is not the kind of thing I would probably get a snow leopard photo on, but I take it on all my trips and I use it, including for wildlife, as much as possible, just because it's different. And it's way harder. Obviously, I get 12 frames and then I got to change film and everything's like manual and stuff. You
really have to think about your picture too with film. It's not like digital. You can snap off 12,000 photos and look through them later. You're you have to be a little
There's
picky.
no autofocus. Everything's manual. You got to use a light meter. You have to move very slowly. But when you're in close proximity to an animal, I think it actually works very well because you're in a kind of submissive posture.
Yeah.
You look down into the viewfinder and you're not kind of up in their face. So when I get close to an animal, when that's possible, it's a great, that's sort of my crazy passion project.
I like that. Well, the reason why I brought it up too is when you said that every time you look away or put your eyes down, the snow leopard would move. And I figured with that camera, you almost, if you're at the zoo, you might just kind of look down into that. Maybe you'll catch something. And so I know you went on an incredible adventure trek to the Indian Himalayas for Snow Leopard Conservancy, and I hope we can talk about that later. But I wanted to hear from Shauvann and hear from her on how she got started with the Snow Leopard Conservancy. How did you meet, Rodney and Darla?
Mine's a pretty long story too. Back in, I can't remember, it was 2000, maybe 2004.
Yeah.
I saw online that Project Survival Cat Haven was holding a big cat experience at UCLA, and I was like, ooh, I want to go. There was going to be a snow leopard person and a jaguar person and a cheetah person speaking, and so I booked my plane fare and headed out, and it was Rodney and Darla that were the snow leopard people speaking at this event. And so it was a long time ago, and then I followed them for years. But then when I went back to grad school and realized that I was going to have to do an internship, I thought, aha, I know who I want to do it with. So it was an education. Mine was in conservation education, so it wasn't like, going out into the field. Yeah. And I went out to the WCN Expo for the first time in San Francisco in October of, I think it was 2013. And I saw that they were going to be there. And of course, me, like lots of people who come up to our booth at the Expo, I went up to them and introduced myself. And I said, you guys remember me? And Darla's like, oh, yes. And in fact, there's a picture that WCN took of us hugging at that expo. It's kind of funny, and it was on their website, and I grabbed it. But So then I had run into them again. Well, then a few weeks later, I called her and said, hey, Darla, can I do an internship? And she's like, well, I don't know. We don't have interns. And she goes, well, wait a minute. What do you want to do? And then she said, well, you could do it from Illinois and you wouldn't have to live out here, and you would, for a short time, and pay for the rent out here. And she said, and if you could work it in with the zoo that you have there, they have snow leopards, then sure, let's do it. So I did the internship with them. And then as soon as I was done, along came another expo. And I was sitting there next to Darla, and I said, how about a job? And she's like, I don't know. And I said, oh, come on, I can do something on the internet. And I bothered her until finally she gave in. And
persistence is key.
My first project was to come up with an eco-friendly T-shirt for the Conservancy. And it's led from there. Now I do all kinds of projects, and I never know what project is coming. And when Darla emailed me and said, hey, I have something that's right up your alley, I was like, oh, goody, what is it? And she said, well, we have an ambassador in Australia. Her name is Margaret G, and she's a literary agent, and she would like to do a children's book where you seek and find the snow leopard in the pictures.
Oh, fun.
And she said, how about I put you in touch with her, and you'll be on your own, and you guys can work it out. And I'm like, sure, why not? Famous last word. And so then I got in touch with her, and I said, oh, I can find you a lot of photos. And at that time, I wasn't thinking specifically manually taken wild snow leopards. But I had worked with Oriol Alamani, who's from Spain, and Bjorn Pearson from Sweden, on an article for our newsletter. And I got in touch with them, and I said, hey, would you guys be interested in helping me with this book? And they were, sure, no problem. And then Bjorn said, well, you know what would be really cool is if we just use photographs of wild snow leopards, no camera trap photos, all manually taken. He says, because I think that would go along with your idea, about the experience of looking for a snow leopard, and how everyone has an experience that goes looking for this big cat. And so it just led from there. The next person that came on board was Tashi Gali from Nepal. Rodney, our director, had taught him how to do camera trap photography, and then he started to do photography, wildlife photography, and he's just branched out. He loves photography, and he's sure, I'll be on board. And then I asked Katie Duffy, who's an independent snow leopard researcher who lives in Ohio, if she'd like to come on board, and because I'd read, she has a blog, and her writings are just beautiful. And I said, but Katie, have you got some pictures? And she's like, sure, but they're mostly like conservation oriented. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. And then we asked Susan Liebeck. She's from Canada. She's an artist and a writer. And she had published some things about snow leopards. And then Jack, and he'll have to tell you all about his experience.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
He had just gone on this experience, on this trek to photograph snow leopards. And I said to Darla, do you think he'd participate in the book? And she's like, sure, just email him. So then I snatched Jack right up. So, and he was real happy, and he can tell you all about his trek, but that's how it kind of brought the team together. But I've been, of course, interested in these big cats for my whole life. At the zoo where I was a docent, they called me the cat lady. And I was there 17 years, standing out in front of the tigers and the lions and the jaguar and the leopards and the snow leopards, talking about them. I even got to work with a baby snow leopard.
Oh, nice.
And she tore all the shoelaces off my shoes, and she'd been a little orphan cub that they had to bottle feed. I got to bottle feed this little baby lion, and it was quite an experience. But I've always been interested in, the big cats. They've always been my passion. So it's just one thing has led to another, and this is like my dream come true job. And
that's amazing.
And I'm an example of you. Life doesn't necessarily begin at 20. You don't find your dream job at 20. I got my master's in my 50s. So it was, but I'm so fortunate to be with the Conservancy and working with them and having a chance to speak to people about snow leopard conservation. But this project has been amazing. Just
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so honored to be able to work with all these people and get to know them. And I'm the only one of the whole crew that has not seen a snow leopard in the wild. So it's
someday.
even Margaret B
Yeah.
went this year to Ladakh, India, and she saw a snow leopard in the wild. But I'm the only one. But
that's amazing.
But
You
I'm
will.
a good company. I've learned from all of these people. It's amazing.
That's great.
But, that's my story.
That's wonderful. Very inspirational. I'm totally with you. I find my passion. Finding my passion later in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20. Well, I did, but I went a different path. Now I'm going back to my original idea. So, anyways.
Well, I started out in music education and biology.
Yeah.
That's what I got my BA in, was music education and biology. And I, of course, was interested in, wildlife and wildlife conservation, but I never thought I could, I was timid.
Yeah.
And in fact, the book is dedicated to Jeanette Thomas. She was one of my professors in grad school, and she passed away a couple years ago. But when she was getting her advanced degrees, her professor, her advisor, told her, when she said, well, I want to study snow leopards, and this was like in 1974, he said, oh, it's way too hard. Nobody can do that, especially a woman. You can't do that. So she went on to study what-else seals in Antarctica. So she showed him, she was studying marine mammals in a harsh environment. But that was, she said to me, snow leopards was my passion, my original idea. So that's why the book's dedicated to her.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to flash a cover of the book. Hopefully with my technical difficulties and production skills, I don't lose you. But so people... I wish I had a copy. So you guys probably can't see it, but I think the people live can see it. And I also have a list of contributors. So Shauvann, you're the co-editor.
I'm the editor.
Yeah.
I'm the author.
Yeah.
And Bjorn Pearson agreed to write some of the text. So Bjorn and I have written the text. And then there's an essay. There's multiple essays from some of them, but there's an essay from each of the contributors, and they're all professional writers as far as I'm concerned. They're just beautiful.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Jack's is magnificent. Wait till you read it.
I can't wait to get my copy. Yeah.
Well, sorry. The release date is October 6th.
Yeah.
It's being printed now, so it finally got off to the printers.
Awesome. Well, we should start talking. I do have a couple. There's a few hellos. Ashley Lutz Nelson is on. She says hello. Hi, Ashley.
Yeah. That's our VP.
Yeah. And Amy from Florida. I know Amy. Hi. And
Hi, Amy.
And Ron from Staten Island. He's a big cat guy. And Varpu Maria, if I said that right, from the Netherlands. So we have people from all over on saying hello. So
she follows us on Facebook. Hi.
Awesome. So let's talk about the snow leopards. Jack, I want to hear kind of your adventure, your trek through the Himalayas. And, as from what I hear, snow leopards are shy. They're elusive. Did we lose Jack now?
Oh, no.
There you are. Oh. Just a little blip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I can't see you, but I'll get it back.
Okay. We can see you. So I know that snow leopards are elusive and shy, and many people have difficulty, from what I've read anyways, of seeing them. So what was your adventure like going to photograph this, and what was it like to see your first snow leopard? I'll let you tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah. They are notoriously shy, they have an almost mystical reputation. Mm-hmm. And some of that is the camouflage. If they don't really have to hide, if they just stop moving, you can't see them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Their camouflage is so extraordinary that if they just lie down and sit in place, the blue sheep, which are their prey animals, will walk right by them. They just disappear.
Oh, amazing.
So the challenge really is to find them. And then the other challenge is the difficulty of the location. So, at 12,000 feet on the low end, and snow leopards go up to 19,000 feet.
Oh,
they're the highest dwelling mammal predator.
Yeah.
So they're just extraordinary in terms of they live in places that we're not meant to live. And then, we have to see them in the winter because as the snow line drops down the mountainside, as it gets colder and colder, the snow leopards come down lower to a place that's more manageable for us to find them. So we planned this expedition with Rodney and Darla from the Snow Leopard Conservancy. Mm-hmm. And there is a difference between saying, like, I want to see a snow leopard versus I want to photograph a snow leopard. Most snow leopard sightings are from quite a distance through a spotting scope that might be half a mile or something away.
Yeah.
With a scope, it's still a magical experience. But in order to photograph one, I need to be within a couple hundred yards of a snow leopard. So I can't go where there's going to be a lot of people. I can't move quickly. I have to hopefully find a snow leopard that has caught something, because then it's motivated to stay put.
Yeah.
So we had to plan an expedition that's specific to photography. And we were able to do that with the Snow Leopard Conservancy's help and with Susan Jennings' donation and fundraising help.
Nice. Yeah, Susan just came on, by the way. Hi, Susan.
Oh.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah. I mean, this photographing a snow leopard in the wild was on my bucket list. It was definitely something that I'd wanted to do. I'd photographed all the other big cats in the wild, and the snow leopard was sort of the top of my bucket list. And I just approached Rodney one time at a fundraiser, and I was like, so how hard is it really to see one? Because obviously he has so much field experience and knows all the right people.
Yeah.
And so we had that conversation, and then many months later, the Snow Leopard Conservancy came back around and said, would you be interested in going? And I was like, of course I would be interested in going. And they were like, we just need to find a way to fund it. And that's where Susan said, I can help. So
yeah,
it was crazy because I just literally got a text message saying, they want you to go to India and photograph snow leopards. Okay.
Sure.
And then my next reaction was, oh my God, what have I signed up for?
Yeah.
Because well, first of all, there's no guarantee that you're going to see one.
Right.
You have to fly to India, then you have to fly to Leh in the Himalayas, which is at 11,500 feet. Mm-hmm. And then you have to trek into the wilderness and sleep in the cold at 12 or 13,000 feet for a week or two and camp.
Yeah.
And it's 20 below at night. And I had never camped at negative temperatures, and I'd never been at 14,000 feet or any of that. So I was nervous about is this even safe? But we have a really good group. So we basically we work through Jigmet Dadul, who's, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but he works with the Snow Leopard Conservancy in India. And he has a team led by his son with spotters and guys that can set up camp. But it was amazing in terms of just the experience of this trip is unlike any other wildlife experience that I've had, in that it felt like a true expedition. I mean, you literally strap gear onto ponies and walk off into the mountains and set up rugged tents. And it felt like it could have been 75 years ago or something, because you're completely off the grid. You can't use satellite phones there.
Yeah, so don't hurt yourself. Yeah, yeah.
It's just an amazing thing just to be in that territory. And it's, that part of India is very much Tibetan Buddhist, and I enjoyed soaking up some of that. But the trip in terms of finding the snow leopard was literally like, get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, strap on your backpack, have some tea, hike uphill, which the first few days you're at altitude like that is just absolutely brutal. I mean, walking on flat ground is really difficult, and then going uphill with a back on is extraordinarily difficult. Mm-hmm. And then we would find a good vantage point, and we'd spread out. We had 4 or 5 guys looking at a time through spotting scopes, and we would stare at mountainsides for 9 hours.
Yeah.
Trying to find any movement, any flick of a tail, an ear twitch or something.
Yeah, they could be sitting there staring at you. Yeah, you wouldn't know it.
Staring at you. Yeah, and it would get dark about 5.
Yeah,
and I'd have dinner in the tent, and then from 5 until 7 the next morning, I got 14 hours of darkness and bitter cold. Mm. and you just hunker down in your tent and multiple layers of everything. And, you know, I had to put anything that was the camera batteries, you know, my contact solution, everything had to sleep inside my sleeping bag because everything freezes.
Oh yeah.
My pants freeze, like my down pants just are like cardboard in the morning. And it's not comfortable that way. Now, if you want to go and see one without trying to photograph it, they can make it a lot more comfortable. You can stay in a homestay and, you know, get a little more culture and stuff like that. But because we were trying to photograph it, we were off on our own.
Yeah.
And just the acclimating to the altitude and dealing with the temperatures. And then it took about 8 days of looking before we had any sign of a snow leopard.
Yeah, I was going to ask how long did it take? So it took you 8 days to see your first snow leopard, huh?
Yeah, the whole trip was 16 days. There's like a day and a half of travel, a couple days of acclimation. We spent 8 days in Stock Valley in northern India, camping and looking, and decided that we weren't seeing anything promising there. There weren't any tracks or signs of snow leopards. So we relocated. And as we packed up camp and were hiking out of the valley to relocate, when we were able to get a cell phone signal, they called Jigmet from the Snow Leopard Conservancy and said, hey, you know, have you heard any news? Because he knows everybody in the region. And if there was a snow leopard sighting, he would know about it. And he said, yes, a snow leopard killed a yak in a village and Ulay, and you should come immediately because the snow leopard will likely still be in the area. So all of a sudden, you know, my heart's racing and I'm like, oh my God, we might get it, because I was down to only 2 or 3 days left on my trip.
Yeah. And
at this point I was completely empty handed in terms of getting photos. So we hiked out of the valley, we got in a car and we drove 3 hours to this new location. And it worked out in the sense that a snow leopard killing a yak is not good for, it's basically, that's human wildlife conflict, right?
Yeah.
We've got a domestic animal that's been killed by a wild animal. And historically, the farmers who have the livestock would want to get retribution. They want to have that cat shot or stoned to death or whatever method they could manage to protect. Because, you know, the people there make so little money and their livestock is really their nest egg. It's their livelihood. It's their wealth. It's not like a pet. This is absolutely their lifeblood.
Right.
And so traditionally, you know, that's where we had retribution killings against snow leopards. But the Snow Leopard Conservancy has all these amazing programs in place in areas like this to discourage that kind of behavior. So one is the ecotourism, there's the homestay program, there's, you know, arts and crafts. These people make little snow leopard dolls and do things like that. So basically, we're trying to turn the snow leopard into an ally for the community instead of this vicious predator.
That's great.
Because I happened to stumble into this situation where a snow leopard killed a yak, we were able to document that whole process of on-the-ground conservation, working with the community. And, you know, people, for example, like if we had to go through this farmer's land to see where the snow leopard might appear. Yeah. And so we would make a little cash donation to the farmer for that privilege. And so he's like, oh, great, you know, snow leopard's around and I'm making money. And I'm like, I'm getting to buy a snow leopard a yak burger. Like I really felt honored to like contribute in that weird way.
Yeah.
But even though we knew the snow leopard was nearby and we, you know, by then the word had gotten out and a few more people from the village had shown up and we had like 8 people staring at this mountainside and you can see the yak out in the field. And you're looking at the big mountain and you're like, okay, I know the snow leopard is here. It's unlikely he's going to take his eyes off his kill, but it's not present. You know, we can't find it. And then this little kid from the village came up and he said, the cat's over there, because he had seen it leave and where it went.
Yeah. And
so finally somebody found it in their spotting scope and it was just a little brown bump on the mountainside that blended in with all the other rocks. And they showed it to me in the scope. They're like, it's right there. I'm like, where? They're like, it's in the middle of the scene. It's like dead in the center of the scene. I don't see it. And then it lifted its head. And you're like, oh, that's not a rock. That's a cat.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing was the cat, you know, the cat basically just went down the other side of the mountain after a couple of minutes. And we were like, is that it? But no, it did come down at night to come to the kill so that it could be with it and feed. And so we went back in the morning in the pitch black before there was any light at all, and set up a blind. And then I could sit in the blind and be a couple hundred yards from the yak and the snow leopard. And as the sun came up, it was there. And in total, I had 12 or 14 hours probably looking at the snow leopard.
Wow! While he was eating dinner,
while he was hanging around, basically just guarding it mostly. Okay. Guarding it from magpies and foxes and anybody else who would try to come and get some food. Yeah. And we think it was a female snow leopard. But that was incredible because most sightings are so fleeting and brief. And I basically just had a staring contest with this cat.
Amazing.
For like a day and a half. Because it was always looking in our direction. It knew there were humans on the ridge, and you know, it certainly wasn't oblivious to our presence. So
wow.
We just it was just close enough to get good photos with an 800 millimeter lens, which is about like this.
Super heavy too.
It's just close enough.
That's amazing. So it makes all the frozen pants and contact fluid worthwhile at that point.
Absolutely.
You forget all about that stuff. Yeah. That's amazing.
I absolutely forget about it. And you know, that's definitely that's one of those trip of a lifetime, dream come true kind of experiences. You know, like lions are cool and you can go to Africa, but it's so easy. I mean, you just get in a Jeep and they drive you out, and within an hour there's a lion, and it's so easy. Yeah. But the snow leopard, there's no guarantee, and you have to work so hard at it.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more rewarding when it happens.
That's amazing. I think I have a picture here. It might be the one of it with the yak, but let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I posted one today on our Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, you really can't. I know you guys can't see it, but I think people can out in the world there. So hopefully everybody can see that. Yeah, the snow leopards just kind of blends right into the terrain there.
Jack's essay was perfect for the book to bring it all together.
Yeah.
Because so many of the essays, well, all of the essays are about this experience of this mystical, magical cat and having a bond with it and feeling, you know, that there's something spiritual about this trek. And that's what you read across the literature. Everyone who's gone in search of the snow leopard, they have some type of a spiritual experience. But Jack found the snow leopard close to people, in danger of, you know, possibly being killed herself. And then it talks about the conservation of the species, and so his essay just brought the whole thing together. It was perfect.
Yeah.
To bring the mystical part, the spiritual part of the snow leopard, the anthropological side together with the conservation side. It was just, I can't wait for everyone to read his essay. It's just wonderful.
Thank you.
It is.
I just want to second what she said. Like, it does feel like when you go and do this, it feels like a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
It absolutely felt like you know, kind of a magical pilgrimage. And yet, you know, like she said, this is a very real conservation, you know, issue that has to be addressed, and the Snow Leopard Conservancy is addressing. So, you know, there's this magical, mystical side to this cat, and then there's also a very practical, you know, it's under threat from various pressures, like many animals are.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's a whole chapter, Marcia, in the book about the folklore and the spirituality of the snow leopard.
Oh, that's great.
But there's also one of the final chapters in the book is about conservation. It's an overview of snow leopard conservation, about the threats that the snow leopard faces and the methods that the Conservancy uses to work towards its preservation. But
I love that.
I have some of the essays with me. I wanted to read one for your audience. It's not very long.
I would love that.
As long as it doesn't blow away. I'm sitting, we live out in the country and our internet is awful. So I'm sitting down here by the Mississippi River in town, where I have much better service. This particular essay is from Katie Duffy. She's the researcher, and it's called A Voice in the Silence. I bent down to look at the pug mark in the powdery snow. The dryness of the climate had perfectly preserved each of the billions of snowflakes, allowing the individually unique icy stars to sparkle under the cloudless sky. Just as I was trying to estimate when the snow leopard had crossed this valley and observe which way it had headed, a chill ran up my spine at the sound of a piercing cry that echoed among the peaks. My teammate and I froze. The overwhelming silence of the land was replaced with the rapid thumping of my heart in my chest. One more time, the yowl reverberated into the valley. I stood, looking at my teammate in awe, with two words being trailed by a puffy cloud of my frozen breath and a huge grin on my face. Snow leopard.
I love that.
It just takes you there.
It does.
Great.
I love that. I'm really excited to get my book copy now. So whenever you're all set too, Ron had a question for Jack, but I can wait until you're done with you have another essay to read.
I will after. Go ahead and take some questions.
Do you want me to do that? So Jack, what can you tell us about the snow leopard's anatomy that lend its incredible skill of jumping or pouncing on such rough terrain?
You know, that's a good question, and I did quite a bit of homework before this trip, but specifically why they're such good jumpers, I don't know that I have a good answer for that. They are often considered the best animal leaper, period. They can jump, the best estimate is 49 feet, which is about the length of a school bus on flat ground.
That's incredible.
They are absolutely physically incredible animals, and there's some amazing videos out there of snow leopards hunting, which is hardly ever seen. But when somebody gets it on camera, it is jaw-dropping, the pace at which they can move over this terrain. And when you've been in that place and you understand how steep and rocky that terrain is, I mean, it is nothing but ice and sharp rocks and loose, sharp rocks. I mean, there's almost no sturdy footing anywhere. And they sprint down these mountainsides. They often hunt from above and sprint full speed down these mountainsides. And I mean, and also the prey animals like the blue sheep are just amazing at covering ground. The snow leopard's very well adapted to its environment, and things like it has, like large nasal cavities, so that when it inhales air, the air is warmed before it actually gets into their lungs. Part of the reason they have such a long tail is because they can wrap it around their head for warmth.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
They have large paws with a lot of fur, so that they're basically almost like walking on snowshoes. And you can see that in the tracks. In that essay, she talks about seeing a track, and I will say that just finding a track was pretty much made the trip worthwhile. I mean, just to see a snow leopard footprint in the snow is a pretty magical experience. But their pug mark, the actual pads, are kind of like medium sized, but then the overall outline of the footprint is there's a larger footprint outside the pug mark of the pads because they have so much fur there. And so they've kind of got this soft footed way of moving through. So I don't know if that answers the question about the leaping exactly, but
and that's what conservationists do, Marcia. They look for sign. And there's a section in the book that talks about that Katie has never seen one up close and personal. She's just seen one from a distance before it disappeared behind a rock. And they look for sign. They look for scrape markings on trees and on the ground, and spray markings. Snow leopards do a lot of spraying. That's their, they call it P-mail. They leave signs for other, scent signs for other snow leopards and other animals to say, I've been here. This is the way I'm going.
Yeah.
And but that's what the scientists look for is the sign, the scrapings and the scratch and the spray markings, because they're not seen a lot, but their markings are.
Right.
But the footprints, the pug marks, they're just amazing. And then they see the tail. Sometimes the difference between the wolf and the snow leopard, if they're unsure of the paw print, they'll see the tail has dragged behind in the snow. And I
Oh,
think we have a picture of that in the book.
okay.
Where you can see the footprints across the snow, but then you can also see the tail marking as it followed the cat.
So a wolf tail isn't long enough to drag then, right? It's what you're saying?
They hold them up a little bit more. And no, they're not as long.
Yeah. I didn't realize they use that to wrap around their head, kind of like a little homemade earmuff there.
Like a muffler.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you had another essay for us, right, Shauvann?
Well, I have another passage.
Kind of entice us into the book.
Bjorn wrote this. This was at the beginning of each of the chapters. There's some thoughts about snow leopards and snow leopard photography. And this one is from a chapter that's called The Reward. And Bjorn writes, every day we are witness to the inexplicable beauty of our natural world. A sunrise, a sunset, a rainbow, the northern lights. Some are common occurrences we see often enough to take for granted, while others, like watching a baby being born or seeing a wild species in its natural habitat, are perhaps once-in-a-lifetime experiences. The reason some of these move us so profoundly is not always clear, but they leave us with a deeper appreciation for the universe's incredible design. There's a great deal we still don't understand about our natural world in general, and about the snow leopard in particular. But hopefully we will learn more. Hopefully, as we learn more, some of the mystery will remain. It isn't always necessary we learn all there is to know in order to understand the importance or appreciate the beauty of something, especially this magnificent cat. Not every question has to be answered, not every puzzle piece put in place. The unknown brings with it an incomparable thrill and beauty that touches us.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And that's so true. All we really need to know is how to coexist with these beautiful animals and keep them around on our planet. So that's beautiful. So Bjorn is the co-editor, correct? Or
yes,
of this book.
And he's from Sweden, and he started out in science, and I think did some work in South Africa, either in school or as an intern. And he donates quite a bit of his proceeds from his photography to conservation.
Oh, wonderful.
So and that's why I said most of these, all of the contributors are not just photographers. They're not just conservationists. They're not, they're not just writers. They're everything. They can all write magnificently. They all, this photography is just unbelievable. And their writings are, it's just so beautiful, but they also contribute to conservation because everywhere they go, they are working for conservation. Conservation isn't just about science, it's about working with people. Mm-hmm. And as Jack can tell you, it's all about working with the people. And because those are the people who live there are the ones that are going to be the stewards. They're the ones that are going to protect these animals, these wild species. And Jack knows firsthand, about working with the people. Yeah. I love that line in the book that you gave him. You bought a yak burger for a snow leopard. Yeah. That was just one of my favorite lines in the book.
That's a great contribution. Yeah, we've talked to Maria Ajanova on this show, on the podcast as well, about Land of the Snow Leopard, or the Land of the Snow Leopard Network, which I think is a great program. And I think that is doing what you're talking about too, bringing people together and, wherever the snow leopard exists and connecting people with the land and nature. And
we have a whole chapter devoted to Land of the Snow Leopard Network that Darla Hillard has written.
Oh, great.
It's in the book.
Darla's on too, by the way. Hi, Darla.
Hi, Darla. It's an organization. It's a network of organizations and individuals, over 100 of them, that have come together to bring the spiritual aspect together with the biological science to the local people. They work one-on-one. They work in schools. They do programs for, just regular school programs. They work with students in the field. They work with townspeople in big groups, but they collect stories, video, written pictures of things that have happened, that people, their interactions with snow leopards, and stories, ancient stories, the spiritual stories of the snow leopard is considered a spirit animal. and they bring that so that into today and make it relevant to today's youth, so that they can carry on the traditions and the folklore and use that to preserve the species.
Yeah, and carry it forward.
If the animal is important to you culturally, if the animal is important to you spiritually, then destroying that animal in retribution, you're going to think twice about it. And so by reviving their cultural traditions, it's a way of, and they wanted to be part of conservation. They wanted to be an active part of conservation. And so
yeah, that brings up
has worked very hard with the network to do that.
Yeah.
And it's expanding across, I think, about 5 different countries now. So the program is expanding.
That is amazing. Well, it just brought up a comment that I was thinking that I don't think people really want to kill or harm such a beautiful animal. I mean, of course, if it is like killing all their goats or getting into their pen and such, it makes it difficult. But I think people would rather see them around. And like you said, people really want to be involved.
Marcia, if it wipes out your entire livelihood and all you make a year is $300-400 a year,
I know.
That snow leopard got in your corral and killed all your sheep in one night.
Yeah. Because that's what they do, right? They'll just kill everything that's moving.
It seems that they're activated by movement, and then they can't get out. And so then here comes the farmer in the morning, and there's the snow leopard. And his first impulse is to kill that animal. But instead, because of conservationists working with them, they'll call someone, catch the snow leopard and remove it and move it someplace away, because they'll think twice, because they realize that it means something to them. Plus, it's an economic thing. It's a financial thing. If a tourist come in and pay them to stay in their homes, that's a pretty, better deal.
Exactly.
So it's as Rodney says, you want them, and as Jack said, you want them to be more important alive than dead. You want them to mean more alive than dead.
If I may, one of the things the Snow Leopard Conservancy has done is help these communities have a livestock insurance program. So in terms of the economics, as Shauvann was saying, like a snow leopard can get into a pen and it very well may kill the entire herd or a large percentage of the herd, and it may not eat much. But once it's in there and its killer instincts are triggered by movement, it can wipe out dozens of animals. And then, strangely, when approached by humans, the cat will not defend itself. The snow leopard does not. It does not attack humans. It does not fight back. It will just cower and let itself be.
Oh, I didn't know that. So attacked. It makes it easier to shoot it that way.
It's not that hard in relatively speaking. I mean, it's not gonna. It doesn't fight back, even though it obviously would be very capable of injuring a human. It doesn't fight back.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the livestock insurance program, which was in place in the village where we were at, immediately there was no question, once they look at the kill and go, yes, this was a snow leopard, we knew this man's going to be reimbursed for the value of that animal. And so he really has no motivation. Immediately, the motivation is removed and he's not worried about his livelihood.
That's smart. And I think when I spoke to Rodney a couple of years ago too, the Snow Leopard Conservancy was also helping with some of these enclosures. I think some of the enclosures didn't have roofs on them and such. And, you talk about how high they can jump and get into these pens, and to kind of, I think, isn't that part of the conservation efforts too, to kind of teach them how to do
put roofs on their corrals. They also have something called fox lights. A gentleman, Ian Whalen from Australia, had developed these predator lights, nighttime lights, to keep predators away from his sheep. And he partnered with the Snow Leopard Conservancy, and we have been introducing them all over the snow leopard's range. And what they do is they're solar powered batteries, and they come on after dark and they flash on and off in different colors and different patterns. So they don't become habituated to them, but they scare the snow leopards and the wolves away because they think it's a human with a flashlight. So they'll stay away, and they put them around where the yaks are and the sheep and the goats, and they've been very successful with the herders. Yeah,
that's an interesting thing. Oh, go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so, I live in California, Northern California. We have mountain lions, and the mountain lion predation on livestock is a problem here in exactly the same way that snow leopard predation is a problem on livestock in India. It's just that what the Snow Leopard Conservancy has implemented these programs over there where they have, many of these villages, they have livestock insurance, they have the lights, they have roofs on their enclosures. And yet here in California, in the Western world, where we have, such a wealthy, relatively speaking, population,
right,
we don't have any of those things in place.
No.
It's kind of ironic that, we already know what these solutions are. Right. And they've been implemented in India, but we haven't learned them here.
But not here. It's
That's
funny
true.
You should say that, Jack. I spoke at the Nashville, Tennessee Zoo one time about snow leopards, and I showed them the fox lights. I had one with me, and the people are like, wow, can anybody order those? And I said, yeah, it's on the internet. You just go to his website. And he's like, I would like those for my animals. I don't know what kind of animal he raised, but he was a farmer. He wanted them in Tennessee. And he says, I've never seen them. And I said, well, you can get them.
That's
and
awesome.
I could use those here. Would they work? And I said, absolutely. They were designed for sheep in Australia. So yes, they'll work with your farm animals here in the States.
Yeah, we have, well, there's a lot we could learn locally about these programs that would help us.
That's true. I live in the
same conflicts here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains too, and you hear a lot of people where their goats are attacked by mountain lions. And it's like, did you put them in a pen? Did you put them in, and they're like, what?
Husbandry.
Yeah, and then, did you get a livestock guarding dog? Or, there's still a lot of education to be done in our own area, which you wouldn't think, but yeah. So it's interesting. So yeah. So let's talk about a little bit, I guess, more about when the book is available and how people can get that.
The release date, as far as I know, is October 6th of this year.
Okay.
And it was to coincide with the WCN Expo, which unfortunately won't be held in person this year. It'll be held virtually. And then Snow Leopard Day, which is October 23rd. But we are already taking pre-orders on our website. If you just go to our website, www.snowleopardconservancy.org, and it's on the hamburger menu on the side. You go to the store, and there's a separate tab just for searching for the snow leopard. And you can order your copy through us, or you can order it through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Indie Books. Amazon and Barnes & Noble do ship internationally. And then Simon & Schuster is handling the international sales. So if you live outside the United States and you want your local bookstore to carry it, Simon & Schuster would be the publisher that handles the sales to any bookstores outside of the United States. But you can order it now, and as soon as we get them in, we'll be shipping them out.
That's great. So you said it's at the printer now. So you have you seen a prototype of it printed? Yeah,
just the proofs, just what went to the printer.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
Of course, everything with the virus, everything is shut down, and everybody's operating on skeleton crews, and it's printed overseas. So we were worried about shipments, but they're getting their shipments in. So, but it's a long process. I didn't know. I've learned a lot about publishing. But our publisher is Arcade Publishing. They're an imprint of Skyhorse Publishing. They're a small publishing house. Small. They have thousands of books.
Yeah. But
they're from New York. So, and we have a really great editor, Cal Barksdale, and he's been helping us along. He's really on board with our message, and he loves snow leopards as much as all of us do. And it's been a joy to do this. It's been a 3.5-year project so far for me.
Oh, that's quite a bit. Yeah. So
Shauvann has done a lot of work. A lot of work. I have some sense of it. It's a huge project.
Well, Jack, I couldn't have done it without all you guys helping me, boy. I
just organizing, getting all these contributors together, getting the stories together. Yeah.
I give you a sneak peek in the preface of the book where I talk about how it all came together. I say, well, it was like herding cats. And it's kind of been because we have one contributor in Nepal and Sweden and Spain and Canada, and then, in Australia, and there's some of us in the United States, and I'm up at all hours of the night talking to people and trying to catch them on Facebook Messenger and at different times of the day. And when I talked to our agent, Margaret G., this is her fault, and we're 18 hours apart, so it's quite an experience. But it's been such an honor to work with all these people and to get to know them, and I'm jealous that they've all been there and they've all seen this beautiful animal in person, and
you'll get there.
I experience it through their eyes and through their writings.
Yeah,
if I may, though, one of the things I love about this book is that it has really great photography and really great text. The essays and the foreword and everything that Shauvann wrote and everything. I mean, it's beautifully done. And in terms of I really want to read it and I really want to look at the pictures.
Right.
And I have a lot of books on cats and I have a lot of photography books, but none of them have quite that balance. So I think it's kind of unique, actually.
I think that's great.
Marcia, it's not really a coffee table book, only that's what the trade would call it. It's an anthropological book. It's about our bond with this animal. And, we're bonded together and we need to protect it. We've endangered it. We need to protect it. And I didn't know where to begin, but it's magical how all the essays and the photographs just blended together perfectly.
Yeah. Well, everybody's so passionate about it, and I think this is a really powerful way to get a message across to people who aren't scientists, who are picking that up for the first time just because maybe it's a beautiful picture of a cat, and then they read it and they get involved and they hear these stories of the conservation and the legends and the mystical qualities, and it's going to be a pretty powerful tool, I think, getting people involved.
Our cover photo is Oriole Alamani's.
I'll show that again.
On the back is Tashi Gali.
Oh, I don't have the bat.
And said, I think this should be on the cover. And I said, oh, I agree. Jack, what was that sentence that he put on the cover?
Oh.
About inspiring our souls?
I don't have it in front of me right now.
Is it on the book?
You guys are just going to have to buy the...
Oh, I don't have the back cover. Yeah.
Just one sentence, really. Yeah. But basically, that we... the snow leopard is it is that mystical creature. It is that thing that inspires our souls, and it definitely needs our protection. Yeah. I said it a lot more eloquently in the book. So.
Well, you guys are going to have to buy the book to read it, but
exactly. You don't want to give too much away.
Marsha, I wanted to read one more of Bjorn's passages, and it's the beginning of the conservation chapter, which maybe some people will skip it because they think it's dry, but don't skip it because there's beautiful pictures in it and there's a lot of really good information. This is a book for scientists, for students, for cat lovers, for everyone. But it begins by saving the snow leopard, we're saving ourselves. Even with all the natural beauty around us, our world can be a harsh, ugly place. Day after day, we are fed news of wars, starvation, racism, and human injustice. Our thirst for optimism and beauty has probably never been stronger. But in our quest for spiritual well-being, we forget that true natural beauty is already out there. The snow leopard is one of nature's most exquisite creations. Long before humans appeared, it was roaming the snow-capped ridges of the mountains. Unmoved by human destruction and with wisdom reflecting in its iridescent blue-green eyes, it still patrols the ridges, as it has done for so many centuries, watching over the world. And so we must do whatever we can to protect the snow leopard, not only because its presence ensures the stability of the high mountain ecosystem, but also because this mysterious cat in some way provides hope for humanity. When we save the snow leopard, we're not just saving a species from extinction, we are saving ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
And that he wrote that before the virus, before all of our, racial injustices and the, this was written 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so appropriate for what's happening today.
I agree.
That they do give us hope for our future.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Yeah, and we all need a little bit of hope every now and then, these days anyways. But Katie Duffy is online. She has a comment. She's been,
Hi, Katie.
She said, let me see, part of it's cut off here. She's been listening in. It's been an honor collaborating with the others involved. We may not have met in person, but we're all connected through such similar experiences. Can't wait for this incredible book to be out. So yeah, thank you, Katie. So that's nice.
Guys, for everyone who gets the book, and I hope everyone does,
yeah,
there's the bios about each one of the photographers and everyone who participated. Has a bio in the back of the book, and they're fascinating because, like I was saying before, each of these people are so multifaceted. Katie has been in the military. In school, she worked with reptiles and wolves.
Wow.
She works with One Health. Just amazing. They're all amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the foreword. Rodney Jackson, our executive director for the Snow Leopard Conservancy, wrote the foreword. And it's not just a foreword, here's the book. He actually tells his story.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to include his story, and he did without me even asking.
He's got a great story. Yeah.
Yes, his mystical experience. You have to read it. It's just, and I didn't even ask him, and he told that story. And so everyone has a story in the book, except me, because I haven't been there. But
you're passionate. Yeah.
But even the foreword this is a book where you've got to read it from cover to cover and savor it. Mm-hmm. It's like a good 7-course meal. You've got to read and enjoy the photos. The photos, I tried to accompany the text with the photos tell a story as well. And for kids of all ages, we have a section right in the middle of the book, which was Margaret's original idea. Did we lose Jack?
We did.
Oh, no.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Right in the middle of the book, we have a section. It's a seek and find section. It's called The Elusive Leopard. And it has a picture, how the photographer took it, and you have to find the snow leopard. And then it has a blow-up picture next to it, a zoomed in, where you can see where the snow leopard is, so you can test your skills.
Oh, fun. But, I like that. I like how it went from a children's book to this storybook. It's kind of cool. So, well, I can't believe we lost Jack here.
Jack.
So hopefully we didn't, anyways. But yeah, hopefully we didn't lose the whole connection with the world. But it's been about an hour, so yeah. I just wanted to wanted you to share where people can find you if they have questions and find more information about this. I know you mentioned the Snow Leopard Conservancy website, but you're also on social media.
Yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Okay.
Sign up for our newsletter. There's a sign up on Facebook. There's also a sign up on our website for our newsletter.
Okay.
And goes out once or twice a month and keep you in touch with what's going on in snow leopard conservation.
Okay.
And there's Jack. He's back.
Yeah. Maybe it was due to the limit.
Yay!
Hey.
He's back. He's back. But Jack, you have a website too. Each of our contributors has a website. Do you want to share your website where they can find your photography?
I think he's still checking in.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't know what happened. I lost you guys.
Yeah.
Jack Wonderly is my name. JAK. She said, if you just Google Jack Wonderly, my website will come up. Okay. It's the same thing on Instagram and Facebook. Jack Wonderly Photography.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah. So if we have any follow-up questions, I'll try to forward to you all. But yeah, I'd like to ask you both. We talked about hope a little bit. What's giving you hope through all this with snow leopards life, whatever? Is that too big of a question to ask? I don't know.
Jack,
What gives you the most hope? Yeah.
Well, I think especially now with the pandemic, and I don't want to try to get philosophical about a virus, but it's a pause, right? And they've called it is it anthropause? Is that the word they've come up with?
Yeah.
That humanity we hit the pause button. And I think that we're learning to flex these muscles of cooperation and international cooperation, and maybe not being so selfish, and thinking, what, we all have to pitch in here. We have to wear a mask. We're going to, make certain sacrifices and stuff. Those are the muscles that we need to learn to flex to solve the larger conservation issues, the climate change issues. So, I see hope when I go outside. I see, the animals. I see deer in my yard, the quail, the rabbits. I go to the beach and there's sea lions, and the animals are doing well in our time of difficulty.
In our absence.
I know.
In our absence.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Nature is so restorative if we just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
they
then
don't
step
need
in.
us. Yeah,
they don't need us.
They don't need
except
us.
Where we've except where we've mucked it up so much that we have to come in and put it back together. Right?
Yeah.
But generally, if they're in any good shape at all, if we just leave them alone, they thrive.
Interesting. You're at the wildlife rescue. I wanted to ask, are you seeing an increase of animals coming into the rescue center at all, or is it?
Actually, I think their numbers are up a little bit this year.
Oh, they are.
I
would think down, maybe.
They've had more than 700 animals in the first half of the year, which I think is a little bit of an increase.
Oh, okay.
It's packed. They're very, very busy.
Yeah, our local wildlife rehabbers here in this area are just swamped. They're inundated. They can't take anymore. They've got so many, mostly birds.
Yeah. Yeah, in our area, actually, right during nesting season, the power company decided to come and trim trees. I'm like, why are you waiting till nesting season to come trim trees? So very frustrating. Yeah, so there's probably a lot of baby birds and squirrels and such, but yeah.
It's so funny, you guys can't see it, but while I've been sitting here by the river, a huge flock of Canada geese are around me, and they came right up behind me and were listening while we were talking.
Oh, funny. Surprised we didn't hear them.
There's tons. There's probably 50 of them out here, and they all came right up behind me. They wanted to hear.
Oh, funny. So what gives you hope, Shauvann?
Well, the youth. I know Rodney looks to the youth. There's so many young people interested in conservation and helping us with climate change and preserving these species, and the next generation of conservationists. And so many people that live in these countries are interested. It used to be the Europeans and Americans would go there and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's more and more people who are actually from those countries want to participate in conservation and ecology and environmental studies and politics and economics and everything that goes into conservation, because conservation isn't just science.
Right. It could be photography, and, art, writing.
Yeah. Yes. And it's the youth and the next generation and how passionate they are and how they're really interested and like Jack said, time to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And actually using these technological tools that we're using today, the zooming and stuff, for a purpose to actually do good with it.
Yeah. But
it's
I think it's been helpful. So, well, thank you. You guys give me hope for everything you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep trying to get the word out there. But I really appreciate you and all that you're doing. So thank you. So
thank you for having us, Marsha, and thank you so much, Jack, for working with me on this project.
I can't wait.
To have the experience was great. To share it is just as great.
Yeah.
So thank you, Shauvann, for all your work on the book. I know it was an epic amount of work. Yeah.
A lot of your Facebook posts, I'm editing again. I'm editing another time.
Can you see the geese?
Oh yeah, look at them. They're all taken off.
They're all babies.
Oh, that's adorable.
They're all teenagers.
Looks like a beautiful day there. Geez, yeah.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. So,
So,
well, good.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening. And if we didn't get to your questions, we will try to get them after, but I think I got everybody. So a lot of hellos. So you may want to go to the live version and say hello, or if you want, it's up to you. But anyways, I will end it. If you guys want to stay on for a second, that's fine. But
okay.
Bye everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, everyone. This concludes today's episode. Coming up here shortly, I will share some more information about our guests today and what they are up to. And I also wanted to thank you again for supporting Be Provided Conservation Radio. And also thank you for supporting these amazing people doing this work to save our natural world, which needs a lot of help during these times. So stay safe, everyone, and stay tuned to hear more about today's guest. Shauvann is the outreach conservation educator for the Snow Leopard Conservancy and speaks to a variety of audiences about snow leopard and the conservation of this iconic species. She also serves as social media manager, maintaining the Conservancy's presence on a variety of platforms. She is responsible for the online newsletter and maintains the Conservancy's website. In addition, she handles online fundraising sales, and she joined the Conservancy team as an education intern while completing her Master's of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and was centered around a post-baccalaureate certificate program in zoo and aquarium studies with a focus on conservation education and anthrozoology. While at Western Illinois University, she conducted anthrozoological research in examining the adoption of animal companions. As an intern, Shauvann developed a multi-age snow leopard conservation education program, including educational activities appropriate for school-age children. And she, if you can't tell by that she has a huge passion for wildlife, in particular big cats. And she was a zoo docent also for 17 years and was the program developer and coordinator advisor of a junior zookeeper program at a local zoo for about 8 of those years. She also spent a summer at the Nashville Zoo as an instructor in their summer camp program. And she even owned, which I didn't know this, owned and operated a pet supply and gift shop. And she was also a medical and radiation oncology transcriptionist, if I can say it, and editor for more than 20 years, which I didn't know. So, and she's also still teaching at some intermediate and high school grade levels as guest lecturer as well at Western Illinois University. Jack, who has a very impressive bio as well, he is an outdoor commercial and editorial photographer from Sonoma County. He's worked as an animal photographer for National Geographic Society books and National Geographic Kids magazines, creating images of jellyfish, giraffes, snakes, bears, and many other species. His photographs have appeared in numerous publications, and I have one of his cheetahs back here if you can see it. And he has also appeared in numerous publications such as National Geographic, Sunset, and Los Angeles Times, Alaska Beyond magazine, and Ranger Rick, as well as CNN. And he is represented by National Geographic Image Collection. And you can see his work at www.jackwonderly.com. And Jack is spelled J-A-K. There's no C. And I will post some of this information as well. So Jack uses his photography to raise awareness and funds for select conservation organizations that include Nature Conservancy, National Resources Defense Council, and Wild Wonders of China. He is passionate about large cats in particular, and his expedition for the snow leopard was one of his most challenging and adventurous projects yet. Jack is often in the field, but when he's not traveling, he spends every Sunday with his young daughter volunteering at his local wildlife rescue.
Thank you for listening to Be Provided Conservation Radio. Links and resources to today's topic are in our show notes on iTunes. We appreciate your dedication and interest in protecting our natural world for future generations. If you like what you heard, please get involved by volunteering, donating, and sharing these podcasts with your friends. It also helps us to inform more people if you take a minute to leave a rating or review on iTunes. Have a great day, and thank you for listening to Be Provided Conservation Radio.